All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And, it's going to be another episode of Missile Monday. I'm going to premiere it November 18th, 2024. And, I pretty much have this video that I came across, last night, scrolling through YouTube, looking at different videos, man. And pretty much this video that I'm going to feature, it pretty much shows you, the scale of these different nuclear weapons that have been created, because the one video I tried to do a couple of weeks ago, they pretty much cut the audio of me speaking. But, you can hear the audio from, the actual clip itself, So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this clip, and then bring out a few scriptures, Lord willing. This lesson is edifying and straight to the point.
Today we're comparing the scale of 6 of the world's most destructive nuclear bombs, including one so devastating it was deemed too risky to use. Brace yourself. It's about to get loud. Starting off, we have the 15-kiloton bomb that the U.S. dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. Little Boy caused the deaths of around 80,000 people and exposed tens of thousands more to high levels of radiation. It gets worse. The temperature near the blast site in Hiroshima reached 300,000 degrees Celsius. For perspective, that's about 300 times hotter than the temperature bodies are cremated at. Sounds horrifying, right? Well, we're just getting started. In 2017, North Korea detonated a nuclear bomb 16 times more powerful than the one that devastated Hiroshima. The nuke is said to have weighed in around 250 kilotons. Ish. Yeah, here's where things get a little murky. Researchers aren't exactly sure what the power of the bomb was, and North Korea isn't spilling the tea. But they estimate it was between 148 to 328 kilotons. On the other hand, the US intel community estimated it was 140 kilotons. One thing is for sure, though. It was felt all around the world. Seriously, this bomb was so intense it caused an earthquake with a magnitude of about 6.3. The sound waves from the explosion were so powerful they were picked up by seismometers worldwide. Up next is one of the most powerful bombs in the US's arsenal, the B-83. This nuke has a yield of around 1.2 megatons of TNT. But what does that mean exactly? Well, let's break it down. You don't need to be a nuclear physicist to know you want to be far away from one of these. Once it hits, it'll create blast waves with a force of about 180 metric tons and wind speeds of 255 kilometers an hour within a 6-kilometer radius. If you were within about a 21-kilometer radius, you'd experience flash blindness. Within an 8-kilometer circle, you'd get third-degree burns, where your body tissue gets blistered and then destroyed. And if you're within a 1-kilometer radius, you'll be hit by blast waves with 720 metric tons of force and winds of 756 kilometers an hour. Medically speaking, it's gonna suck. There are about 650 B-83s in active service. So that's comforting. Next up, Castle Bravo. The biggest nuclear bomb ever tested by the US. It packed a punch of around 15 megatons and caused an explosion 2.5 times more devastating than researchers anticipated. And this was obviously a problem. Yeah, this bomb was 1,000 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima. Radioactive debris spread across 18,000 square kilometers, contaminating people on nearby islands and even on a Japanese fishing trawler. This was dubbed the worst radiological disaster in US history, and it caused a massive uproar against nuclear testing. Understandable when you see the staggering 7.2 kilometer wide, 39.6 kilometer high mushroom cloud. Oh, and it created a crater on the ocean floor nearly 2,000 meters wide and 76 meters deep. That's huge! But the next two on our list are even bigger. The Tsar Bomba 50 was not your average bomb. It was a hydrogen bomb and the most powerful one ever tested. It had a yield of about 50 megatons. In 1961, the USSR detonated it on a small Arctic island, creating a shockwave that turned the island into a flat skating rink. The bomb was commissioned by Nikita Khrushchev and weighed 27 tons and required an aerial bomber to transport it to the Arctic. The detonation was so powerful that it knocked the bomber down 900 meters before the pilot could course correct. It's not hard to see why a bomb with this kind of power was never made again. But that doesn't mean the USSR didn't want to. Okay, so Khrushchev may have commissioned the Tsar Bomba 50, but did you know he originally wanted a 100 megaton nuclear bomb? Yeah, plus 50, baby! The plan was to create a 3-layered bomb with uranium layers separating each stage, but testing the bomb was too, risky. Even Soviet physicists were worried the bomb would cover the whole north of the USSR with a massive cloud of radioactive fallout. And if that wasn't enough, the bomb was too heavy. So heavy it couldn't be placed on a missile or strapped to any plane. And even if it could have, it would have taken a crazy amount of fuel to get to the target and fly away safely, making it a one-way trip for any pilot. How long do you have to wait inside while hiding from nuclear fallout? Find out here on How to Survive.
And there you have it, man. That goes to show that, these weapons that are being created are going to be used for this coming Third World War, And those were just, the scale of those particular bombs that were dropped. Again, the most notable one that is going to be mentioned is always going to be, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That particular incident where, again, the U.S. dropped, those two bombs, Fat Man and Little Boy, on those two Japanese cities, And then again, those others, man, but this is real. This is definitely real, man. And of course, they have other, nuclear missiles that are more advanced, the B-83, as far as the U.S. nuclear arsenal, those are still, active today. They still have those, But again, man, this just goes to show you that, again, this is biblical prophecy, coming to pass. So this is exciting times, that we're living in, but this is, is scary as well, because again, this is going to be the war to end all wars, by way of these weapons. So I'm not going to ramble. I'm just going to get straight to the scriptures. I'm going to start in the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 1. And it says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." And yes, man, that's the day that's coming. What's the day that's coming? World War III, or to put it in simpler terms, the day of the Lord, because that's what's coming, man. This is what the day of the Lord entails of, man. Darkness, gloominess, destruction, and how is that going to be brought about? By way of these ICBM missiles, man, So now I'm going to get the book of Isaiah, chapter 9 and verse 5, and it says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." Again, man, this isn't going to be a traditional war, where you have a group of men on one side and a group of men on the other side charging each other, on the center of a battlefield, wielding weapons of war, swords, shields, spears, bow and arrows, those different war weapons. This war is primarily going to be fought with nuclear capabilities. Now again, you will have ground troops that are going to be going to war with each other. But again, this war is primarily going to be fought with that nuclear technology. So there's the book of Isaiah, chapter 54 and verse 16. And it says, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. And again, man, the smith, those modern day blacksmiths being, those scientists and physicists that are behind, developing and creating these nuclear weapons, man. And the waster to destroy is the nuclear missiles themselves, and in particular the warheads, man. Because that's the part of the missile that does the damage, So this is very serious, man. And these weapons are going to do a lot of damage, a whole lot of damage. So now, staying in Isaiah, I'm going to jump to Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 4. And it says, The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And yeah, man, that's primarily why these weapons are being created, to destroy America, aka Babylon the Great. So again, man, these weapons serve a purpose, to destroy, but they're also going to help cleanse the earth as well, to rid the earth of this pollution, But again, this is what they're going to do. They're going to come from one end of the earth to the other, in an arc-like fashion, So now I'm going to jump to Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 23. It says, I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I will sweep it with a besom of destruction, said the Lord of hosts. And yeah, man, this place is going to be swept, because once those missiles detonate, it's then going to, sweep. It's going to create that wall of fire that's going to sweep through the land, man. Because it shows you that, you can watch videos of these particular nuclear tests and see once those missiles detonate, it's going to explode. Once it explodes, man, it's going to create that huge fireball, and then it's going to, the force from that explosion is then going to, create that shock wave that's going to, sweep through that land, wherever it hits, So I'm going to get the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, in verse 1. It says, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. And what's that destroying wind? That fire, man. That destroying wind is going to be, again, the shock wave from the explosion from those nuclear missiles that's going to sweep through the land, man. Because it'll tell you that, if you're within a certain radius, man, that shock wave is going to, pretty much is going to decimate anything that's in its way, man. It's going to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's pretty much going to disintegrate, any and everything that it sweeps through, So verse 2, it says, And I will send Slakia, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. And again, all of these different nations, including America's allies, are going to turn to her, pursuant to Revelation 17. The nations pretty much hating the whore, and burning her with fire, roughly paraphrasing, because again, man, these nations are angry at America because of the things that are pushed out through this place, man. These philosophies and doctrines, that come from this place, primarily, that alternative lifestyle, So I'm going to give verse 3. It says, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. So yeah, man, this land is going to be completely destroyed, pursuing to Isaiah 34, which I'm going to grab, a verse out of, this chapter. But pretty much this chapter goes into what America is going to look like after this destruction takes place, So I'm going to get the book of Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 4. And it says, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth from the vine. As the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fig, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So yeah, man, that's who the Lord's indignation is against, the nation of Edom, man. Idumea, which is the Greek word of saying Edom, and who are the Edomites? The so-called white man, or so-called white people. This is who the Lord is angry at. This is who he's going to take out, man. And that's primarily who this destruction is for, the nation of Edom. So I'm going to get the book of Joel chapter 2 and verse 1. And pretty much again, Joel, this is a good chapter as well, but I'm only going to read, the first 3 verses. But verse 1 all the way down to verse 11 is great, going into, the exact details of how these missiles are going to go from one end of the earth to the other. Pretty much how, again, they're not going to be destroyed, So it doesn't matter what defense systems the U.S. has in place, they're not going to be able to stop, those incoming missiles that are targeted to hit this place, So this is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 1. Says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the land, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. So, right, these nuclear weapons that are being created for this Third World War. They're being created for that particular day, and then once, that day, comes to pass, there won't be any more, nuclear missiles. There won't be any more weapons, because they'll serve their purpose. Hence the reason why they said it should be neither shall there be any more after it. So once, this war takes place and all of these missiles are shot off, that's it, There'll be no more wars after this, Verse 3, it says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. And yes, man, says the fire devoureth before them, because remember, once these missiles are shot, they're going to be shot in an arc-like fashion. You know, a lot of these missiles are going to be shot into space. You know, they're going to leave the ozone layer, get their specific, trajectory, their specific coordinates, and then they're going to enter in, through the firmament again, come back through the ozone layer, and they're going to come back on fire because they're going to be traveling extremely fast. It's that fire that devours before them. The flame behind them is going to be that rocket propulsion system that is going to be guiding these missiles to their specific target, And when it says the land is as the Garden of Eden, meaning America has not been touched by war as far as any other nation coming over here and invading, This land hasn't seen war from another nation, and there's still parts of America where the landscape is beautiful, But once these missiles hit, it's going to leave this place completely desolate, So I'm just going to get a couple more scriptures and then that'll be it. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 12. And it says, And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed together, it's like in the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And pretty much Isaiah and John saw the same thing, man. The heavens being rolled together as a scroll, man. And pretty much again, what's that mean? They saw that mushroom cloud, and that's pretty much the best way they can describe it. It looked like a scroll being rolled together, And that great earthquake again is going to be those millions upon millions of warheads pelting the land of America, So I'm going to jump to Revelation chapter 7 and verse 1. And it says, And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, meaning holding back that destruction. It says that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads, talking about the elect, because as we know, before this destruction takes place, the prophecy of the mark of the beast being made mandatory, the prophecy of Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16 down to 18 still has to come to pass. The time of Jacob's trouble, all hell breaking loose here in the land of America, has to come to pass. And then ultimately, the elect being sealed, once they're sealed, then, once these particular prophecies come to pass, then that's when this destruction is going to take place, because it's slated for a specific time. Then I'm going to end it with this. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 9 and verse 15. And it says, And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. And you have 3 classes of men on the earth. You have the sons of God, which are the biblical Israelites today, all 12 tribes from Judah all the way down to Issachar. You have the sons of men, which are, the heathen nations. And you have the sons of the wicked, which are, the Edomites, so-called white men, and that's who this destruction again is for, the third part of men, Esau, Verse 16, And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them, And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone, talking about the warheads, man. The breastplates of fire, because again, these missiles are made of metal, different types of metal, the heads of lions, again, describing, once those missiles or the warheads are launched, they're going to return to Earth on fire because they're going to be traveling so fast, man. Verse 18 says, by these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And again, that's the part of the missile that does the damage, the warhead. And millions, 200,000, are going to hit this place, America, Babylon the Great, because again, there's so many videos out there that shows you, the scale of these different nuclear weapons that have been created and the damage that they can do, because you can see from those hydrogen bombs that were dropped on Japan in 1945 have pretty much, evolved into nuclear missiles that can be launched from one end of the earth from a push of a button, So I was going to end it on that, but I'll actually end it on this. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 13. And it says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And is that not what Esau did? Again, when he dropped those bombs on, Japan, he made fire come down, man. He rained fire down, in the sight of men. And as you can clearly see it from that particular time, America and Russia, primarily those two nations, have been in an arms race, since then, So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say Shalom.